She moved through the battlefield with blood on her lips and a cold fire in her eyes. The night sky burned red with falling ships, alien screams echoing in the distance. Her bare feet stepped over scorched metal and lifeless bodies. And wherever she walked, no alien, no machine dared to follow. They called her a weapon, a curse, a mistake created in secret. Her bite could melt armor, burn flesh, and spread a deadly venom that no species had survived. One bite. That's all it took. The Shirak Empire thought they were clever when they used her. She wasn't born, she was made in a lab, mixed from the DNA of extinct beasts and war queens. She was trained to hate, trained to kill. But they made one mistake. They gave her just enough freedom to feel. And when she saw how they used her, strapped her down like a beast, forced her to bite prisoners, tested her on children, something inside her snapped, and she vanished. For 5 long years, she disappeared into the outer rings of the galaxy. Becoming a ghost story, planets spoke of her in whispers. Mothers warned their hatchlings, don't stay out at night, or she'll find you and bite you. But now she was back, and the war had followed her. It started with small outposts going silent. Then entire moons vanished from communication grids. The last transmission from Outpost 57 was a scream, followed by one word, her. The United Human Command received the warning too late. Earth didn't even know she existed until one of their own ships, the Hammerlight, crash-landed on a dying moon. Only one soldier survived. His name was Reed Carson. He lay half-buried in ash and dirt, blood dripping from his shoulder. His breathing was shallow, broken. His ship was gone, his crew dead, and strange blue clouds moved overhead like living things. He tried to crawl, pain ripping through his side, but then he heard it, the crunch of footsteps behind him. He reached for his blaster. It wasn't there. When he rolled over, he saw her, not a soldier, not a monster, but something in between. She had glowing silver eyes, long black hair tied behind her head, and skin marked with strange glowing veins. Her clothes were torn and burnt, but her posture was calm, dangerously calm. She crouched beside him, silent. He stared at her, knowing exactly who she was, the biter. He whispered. Her eyes narrowed. You've heard the stories. Reed didn't answer. He tried to sit up, but the pain pinned him down. She leaned closer, sniffed the air near his neck, and frowned. You're bleeding, she said quietly. I noticed, he groaned. Her fingers brushed near his shoulder. You're human. You got a problem with that? He said, voice shaky. She didn't speak. Instead, she opened her mouth just enough to reveal the deadly fangs beneath her lips. They pulsed with a faint green light. Reed froze. He had heard what that meant. The glow always came just before the bite. I don't want to kill you, she whispered, but I have to know. Why are they still hunting me? Reed didn't know what she meant. He barely understood why his ship had been shot down. We were just patrolling. We didn't know this moon was occupied. She didn't believe him. He could see it in her eyes. They're never just patrolling, she muttered. Then suddenly, she grabbed him. Her fangs pierced his shoulder before he could scream. It was fast, sharp, hot. The pain shot through him like lightning. He gasped, his vision spinning. He waited for the death to come, but it didn't. Seconds passed. Then minutes. His body didn't burn. His chest didn't melt. His heart still beat. Her hand trembled. She looked at him, confused. Her breath hitched, and she pulled away, staring at her own hand like something had gone wrong. You're still alive, she whispered. Reed blinked. Yeah, still here. No alien ever survived my bite. Well, he said, coughing, lucky me. She stood up and backed away, her lips shaking. This isn't possible. You tell me, Reed muttered. You're the one with the fangs. She didn't laugh. For the first time in her life, her venom had failed, and somehow, it had failed on a human. Somewhere above them, scanners from both the Shirak Empire and the human command picked up new signals. Someone was tracking them. And someone was very, very afraid, because the deadliest creature in the galaxy just found someone who could survive her. And now everything was about to change. Forever. Asterisk. She stared at him as if looking at something unnatural, something that should not exist. Her fangs had sunk into his flesh. He should have been dead within seconds. That was the way it always worked. Her venom melted the blood, shattered the bones, and ended every life it touched. But not his. The human still breathed, still looked her in the eyes, still dared to speak. "What's your name?" he asked, his voice tired but steady. She didn't answer right away. Her fingers touched her lips as if unsure they still belonged to her. She backed up, almost tripping over a broken piece of metal from his crashed ship. "Why are you alive?" she whispered. "I could ask you the same thing," Reed said. "No one survives a crash like that." She shook her head. "This is wrong. I should be gone, erased. They never let their weapons roam freely. You said they." "Who are they?" Reed asked, pushing himself up with a grunt. Her eyes narrowed. She didn't like questions. But something in Reed's tone made her hesitate. He wasn't like the others. He wasn't afraid of her, not the way everyone else was. Maybe it was because he didn't understand what she truly was. Or maybe he did and didn't care. "They called me Project Venari," she finally said. "That was the name they gave me in the lab." "Venari," Reed repeated. "That sounds like a weapon's name." "I was a weapon." Reed's head tilted. "And now?" She didn't answer. The wind howled above the rocky cliffs. Strange blue lights shimmered in the sky. Shirak drones searching for life. Venari looked up and tensed. "They're looking for you," Reed said. "They're always looking for me," she replied coldly. Reed looked at the glowing mark on her arm, pulsing softly under her skin. "You've got a tracker?" "Not anymore," she said. "I carved it out a long time ago." Reed raised an eyebrow. "Then how do they always find you?" She glanced toward the sky. "Because I leave bodies behind." Reed swallowed hard. She wasn't lying. The crater around them was full of burnt wreckage, fallen drones, melted armor. The air still smelled like death. Whatever her bite did, it destroyed more than just flesh. It erased it, but he was still here, still breathing, and that terrified her more than anything. "Why didn't it kill me?" he asked quietly. She didn't know. Her body was designed to kill everything. Animals, soldiers, royal bloodlines. She had taken down entire enemy squads with a single strike. And now, the one being who survived was standing in front of her, wounded, human, and calm. "You shouldn't be alive," she muttered again, as if saying it might change the truth. Reed sighed and leaned back against a rock. "Yeah, well, neither should you, from what I've heard." That made her pause. He was right. She had escaped every execution order, survived every mission meant to kill her. And now the galaxy whispered stories about her in fear and silence. But why? Why had she survived so many times only to find someone she couldn't kill? She crouched in front of him, eyes searching his face. "What are you made of?" Reed gave a tired smirk. "Just regular human parts, I promise." She didn't laugh. Instead, she reached out and touched the wound she had bitten. Her fingers brushed his skin carefully, tracing the edges. There was no infection, no burn, only teeth marks. And healing flesh. "It's like your blood." "Rejected it," she said. "What if it's not just me?" Reed asked. "What if all humans are immune to you?" She froze. That thought had never occurred to her. What if her one true weakness was Earth? Before she could speak, a strange sound rumbled above them. Not thunder, Not drones. Something heavier. A ship. Venari's body tensed. She grabbed Reed's arm and pulled him behind a broken wall just as a red beam of light hit the crash. Sight. Dust exploded upward and a deep voice echoed from above. Target located. Prepare for retrieval. Reed's eyes widened. They found us. Venari cursed under her breath. They're not here for you. They want me. And what happens if they get you? They won't just kill me, she said. They'll take me apart. Study me. Turn me into something worse. Reed gritted his teeth. Then let's not let them. You want to help me? She asked, stunned. He nodded once. You didn't kill me. That makes us something like allies. She didn't smile, but something in her eyes softened. You're insane. He gave a weak laugh. So I've been told. She stood quickly and looked around. The red searchlight scanned left and right, burning holes in the rock. They had seconds left before they were caught. Can you walk? She asked. Not well. Then hold on. She wrapped one arm around his waist and pulled him to his feet. He gasped in pain but nodded. She guided him through the ruins, keeping. Lo! The ship roared behind them. Reed whispered, Where are we going? She didn't turn back. To find answers. And deep in her mind, a new question began to burn. If humans can survive me, could they also stop the ones who made me? They moved fast through the ruins of the broken moon, Venari holding Reed tightly as she led him down narrow paths and dark tunnels. The cliffs above shook from the ship engines, and the red searchlight followed them like a hunter that never blinked. Reed's legs were weak, but he held on. Pain stabbed through his shoulder where she had bitten him, but somehow the wound wasn't getting worse. It was healing. And that made no sense. He didn't ask questions now. He just ran. After 20 minutes, the sounds of the ships faded behind them. Venari finally slowed and pulled him into a hidden cave behind a collapsed wall. Inside, it was cold, quiet, and dark. Only the soft glow of her skin lit the space. Reed leaned against the stone, breathing hard. You always live like this? She didn't answer right away. She walked to the back of the cave, crouched down, and opened a sealed metal box buried under old dirt. Inside were strange tools, a cracked data pad, and a small glowing cube. What's that? Reed asked. VNAR. I held up the cube. A memory. Core. Yours? No, one of the scientists who made me. Reed frowned. You kept it? I stole it, she said. Before I escaped the lab, I've been trying to break the encryption ever since. Reed looked at her carefully. She didn't act like a killer now. She acted like someone hunted, someone tired. Someone who wanted answers. You said they made you. How exactly? He asked. She stood up, cube in hand, and her voice turned cold. They mixed DNA from 6 different species. One of them extinct, another forbidden. They added venom sacs from a shadow serpent, neural enhancements, pain suppression, regeneration. I was supposed to be the perfect living weapon. And they used you in war? He asked. They tested me first, she said, on prisoners, on allies, even on themselves when they thought I couldn't escape. Reed looked down at his healing shoulder. And your bite was the final touch? Venari nodded slowly. They thought it made me untouchable. I wasn't supposed to feel, wasn't supposed to think. But something went wrong in their code. You started thinking for yourself. Yes, and when I realized what I ran. Reed was quiet for a moment, then asked, And you've been alone ever since? She looked at him. Until now. They sat in silence for a few minutes. The red glow of the searchlight still passed faintly across the cave entrance, but the ships hadn't found them. For now they were safe. Reed finally said, Why do you think I survived your bite? I don't know, Venari said. I've thought about it 100 times since it happened. Maybe it's your blood. Maybe your cells fight my venom. Or maybe. She hesitated. Maybe I didn't want to kill you, she whispered. Reed raised his eyebrows. That's comforting. Venari gave a small, strange smile. The first he'd seen Dot suddenly, a sharp ping came from the memory core. Venari's head snapped around. The encryption broke. She rushed to the pad and linked it to the cube. A stream of data began to scroll across the screen. Files, recordings, notes from the lab.1 file blinked red. Project Venari, Emergency Protocols. She opened it. A recording played. An older voice spoke, cold and clinical. If Project Venari escapes and bites an organism that survives, that subject must be retrieved immediately. Human DNA was part of the original rejection model but dismissed due to unpredictable protein folding. If survival occurs, do not kill the subject. He may hold the final key to stabilizing her venom. Venari stared at the screen. They knew. Reed leaned closer. They tested your venom on humans before? She nodded slowly, rage building in her eyes. They must have. That's why your blood didn't fail. They used your kind in the first versions. And they didn't tell anyone? They never intended to. But now that you've survived, they'll want you. Reed swallowed hard. So I'm a lab rat now? To them? Yes, she said. And they won't stop. They'll take you apart just like they tried to do with me. Outside, a new sound echoed low, deep, and mechanical. It wasn't a search ship. It was heavier. Vienna RI single quotes. S eyes widened. They've sent hunters. Hunters? Biotech soldiers? Programmed to track me. They don't eat. They don't sleep. They don't stop. Reed reached for the broken blaster at his side. Any ideas? Venari stood, eyes burning. Yes, you're not safe near me anymore, but I'm not leaving you behind. Good, Reed said, because I wasn't going to let you go alone. Venari turned to him. Then we move. Now. The ground shook again. Somewhere nearby, metal claws dug into the stone. The hunters were close, and this time, Venari didn't plan to run. The cave trembled as the first hunter arrived. Reed didn't need to see it to know it was massive. He could hear the way the claws scraped the rock, slow, confident, like it already knew where they were hiding. The light above the cave turned from red to white. A blinding white that meant only one thing, confirmation. We've been spotted, Venari said. She grabbed her weapons, if they could be called that. One curved blade made from alien bone and a small dart launcher that hadn't worked in weeks. She looked at Reed, who still had his broken blaster. Give me that, she said, pointing at it. It's fried. I know, she replied. I can use the core. She tore it apart in seconds, pulling out a glowing blue crystal. Her hands moved fast, fitting the energy core into a piece of metal she'd hidden in her pack. Sparks jumped. Then a faint hum began. What are you making? Reed asked. A bomb? A small one. He nodded. Good plan. No, she said. It's just to distract them. These hunters, they're not like soldiers. They're machines inside organic armor. They don't bleed. They don't feel. Can they be killed? Yes, she said, eyes cold, but not easily. Suddenly, a huge metal claw burst through the wall of the cave. A glowing red sensor blinked at the end of a long snake-like arm. The hunter had found them. Venari didn't wait. She grabbed Reed and rolled with him behind a slab of stone as the claw fired a burst of plasma. The heat burned through the air. The first blast missed them by inches. The second hit the memory core. The cube exploded in sparks, burning everything around it. The scientist's data, the logs, the truth all gone. Venari's face didn't move, but her hands tightened into fists. That was everything, she whispered. Reed looked at her. We'll get more. No, she said. That was the only copy. Now they'll make sure I stay a weapon forever. Another claw tore into the stone. The hunter stepped inside now. It was huge, over 10 feet tall, covered in thick armor-like scales, with glowing tubes running along its limbs. Its face was a smooth, eyeless plate of dark metal. It locked onto Venari instantly. Subject located. Prepare for extraction. Venari stepped forward without fear. You'll have to rip me apart first. The hunter charged. Reed shouted, No! But Venari didn't move away. She ran toward the beast, her small blade flashing in the dark. The hunter swung a claw, but she ducked under it. She was faster than Reed had ever seen. She slashed at the tubes on its chest, and glowing liquid sprayed out. The machine didn't slow. Had caught her with one arm and slammed her into the wall. Reed felt the ground shake from the impact. He shouted her name, but she didn't answer. The hunter stepped closer to her, scanning. Then Reed stood up. He didn't have a weapon. He didn't have armor, but he had something no one else had. He was immune to her bite, and that meant he might survive other things, too. He grabbed a broken shard of ship metal and charged. The hunter turned too slowly. Reed stabbed the sharp edge into the damaged tube Venari had sliced, twisting hard. Sparks flew. The machine reeled back, letting out a strange screech. Venari gasped on the ground, eyes opening. She saw Reed covered in dirt, bleeding again but still fighting. He was defending her, a human, defending her. With one final burst of strength, she jumped to her feet and bit down into the exposed tube Reed had cut open. Her venom flowed into the machine. The hunter shook violently, limbs spasming, and then it collapsed in a heap of smoke and sparks. Reed fell to his knees beside her, coughing. Did we get it? Venari touched the twitching body. It's dead, Reed smiled, exhausted. That's a first. Venari looked at him strangely. You just attacked a hunter with nothing but scrap metal, he shrugged. I figured. You do the hard part. She helped him stand again. Her hands were shaking now, not from fear, but from something else. She didn't understand this human. He should have run. He should have feared her. But instead, he fought beside her, for her, and something inside her was changing. Not just her venom. Not just her blood. Her thoughts. Reed limped to the entrance of the cave. More of them will come, won't they? Yes, Venari said. And they'll be worse. Then we'd better move. She looked at the fallen hunter one last time. Its smooth, lifeless face seemed to whisper that the worst was still coming. But now she wasn't alone. And for the first time, she began to wonder what if the key to stopping all of this was in the very species they had ignored? The humans, or maybe just one of them. Venari didn't speak much as they moved through the canyon. Her mind was spinning. Something had changed in her. It wasn't just the way Reed survived her bite. It was the way the hunter reacted to her venom. It didn't melt through metal like it used to. It didn't burn the machine's core. It only slowed it down. And that terrified her. Reed noticed her silence. You all right? No, she said honestly. Something is wrong with me. You saved both of us back there. I failed. That hunter should have died in seconds. But it resisted. That's new. Reed looked ahead. So what? You're still the most dangerous thing out here. Venari's eyes flashed to him. Not if my venom is changing. She touched her own lips with the tips of her fingers. The glow in her fangs was fainter than before. Her body felt slower. Her breath shorter. She wasn't just weakening, she was transforming. Reed noticed. Is it because of me? I don't know, she said. Maybe when I bit you, your body reacted. Your blood could have altered something in mine, mutated it. Reed stopped walking. Hold on, you're saying my blood changed you? Venari met his eyes. I'm saying you survived something no alien ever did. That means your biology is different. Stronger in a way I can't explain. And now, I'm starting to feel it inside me. Reed looked down at the healing bite wound. So we're connected now. More than that, she said. We may be bonded. Before he could reply, they both heard the sound. A low rumble. Not one ship. Not two, but dozens. Reed turned and climbed a rock to see. His face went pale. In the sky behind them, a swarm of red lights moved in perfect sync. Not search drones. Not simple hunters. These were something else. Vnari climbed beside him and hissed under her breath. They sent in harbingers, she whispered. What are those? Command class harvesters. They don't search, they cleanse. Reed's heart skipped. You mean they're here to kill us? No, she said, voice tight. They're here to kill everything. The harbingers hovered low, their wings splitting open to reveal massive fusion cannons. They weren't scanning. They were aiming. Venari grabbed Reed. We have to get underground, now. They sprinted down the rocks, jumping into a narrow ravine that cut through the land like a crack in glass. Just as they hit the bottom, the first harbinger fired. The blast lit up the sky. A storm of fire roared over their heads, turning the cliffs into molten lava. The entire horizon glowed orange. Vnari pulled Reed deeper into a side tunnel, barely avoiding a falling rock. The heat scorched their backs as they slipped into darkness. Dust filled the air. Reed coughed. They're wiping out the whole moon. They want no witnesses, Venari said. If anyone learns that a human survived my bite, everything they built falls apart. They kept moving until the light disappeared behind them. The deeper they went, the colder the air became. Finally, they reached a long-forgotten chamber, something ancient, carved with symbols Reed didn't recognize. Venari stopped. Her eyes widened slightly. This is not from the Empire. Reed stepped beside her. Then who built it? Venari ran her hand across the wall. This is from the sixth species, the one they said went extinct. Reed frowned. Wasn't that part of your DNA? Yes, she said. The only species in the mix that no one had ever seen. They were said to be pure energy and venom. They left no bodies, no graves. But this place, Reed began, is a grave, she finished. At the center of the room, a stone bed held the remains of something humanoid, but the bones shimmered faintly, like light through water. Next to it was a crystal vial. Venari stepped toward it. I've seen this before, she whispered. In the lab, they had drawings of it. What is it? Reed asked. She picked it up. The original venom seed. The moment she touched it, the vial pulsed in her hand. The air around her shifted. Her veins glowed brighter, the green color, returning to her lips. It's activating my blood again, she said. The sixth species isn't extinct. Reed's eyes widened. Then why did they say it is? Because the Empire hid it, she said. They didn't destroy the species. They harvested it, used it to make things like me. She looked at him. And now we have their weapon, Reed said. Do you think you'll become stronger? No, Venari said. I think I'll become something new. Then they heard another sound behind them. Steps. But not metal. Boots. Human boots. Reed turned. A figure walked out of the tunnel, an armored man holding a plasma rifle. He wore the United Human Command badge. He didn't raise his weapon. He just stared at Venari. Been looking for you, the soldier said. Venari single quotes. His eyes narrowed. Why? The soldier pointed at Reed. Because he's the key. Asterisk. The soldier stepped forward slowly, eyes locked on Reed. His armor was scratched, marked by old battles, but his weapon was steady and powered. He didn't look like a scout or a rescue officer. He looked like someone with a mission. Reed stood frozen. You're from command? The man gave a sharp nod. Sergeant Keller, Special Unit 9. Venari stayed between them, one hand near her blade. Why are you here? Keller didn't answer her. He spoke directly to Reed. "We got a transmission. From your ship before it crashed. Something about an alien bite. Something about you surviving." Reed glanced at his shoulder. The mark was still faintly glowing. Keller continued. "That got the attention of command. They sent me to confirm it." Venari growled low in her throat. "You're not here to help. You're here to study him, to take him apart like the Empire does." Keller raised a hand. "I'm not your enemy. But command believes Reed might carry something rare. Something useful." "Useful," Venari repeated coldly. "That's what the Empire called me too." Reed finally stepped forward. "Tell me the truth, Keller. What does command want with me?" Keller's jaw tightened. "Your blood? It's reacting to venom that destroys everything else. Our scientists think it's not just resistance. It's correction. Your cells don't just survive, they try to fix what's broken." Reed frowned. "Fix? You didn't just survive her bite," Keller said. "You changed her, slowed her venom, mutated it, possibly stabilized it." Venari took a step back. "You mean he's turning me into something else?" Keller nodded. "Something they can use." Venari turned to Reed, her eyes stormy. "Is that what you want? For them to put me in a lab? Strap me down again? Turn me back into a weapon?" Reed stepped between them. "No, that's not happening. Keller, if you want my help, you help her too." Keller paused. "I don't take orders from you." Reed's voice didn't shake. "Then we walk. You go back with nothing." Keller looked at Venari, then at Reed. His lips tightened, but he lowered his rifle. "Fine, I'll take you both. But I need a blood sample. One. Just enough to convince command not to send something worse than me." Venari didn't trust him. Not even a little, but Reed gave a small nod. "One sample. That's it." Keller reached into his pack and pulled out a sealed injector. "Just hold still." Reed sat down, extending his arm. The needle hissed, drawing a small vial of glowing red and gold liquid. Keller sealed it quickly, locking it in a shockproof case. He stared at it like it was treasure. Then he said, "We'll need a ship." Venari spoke up. "We can't go back to human space. Not yet. They'll track us, and I need answers, real ones. There's more about my kind buried in this place." Keller hesitated. "There's nothing down here but bones and myths." Venari shook her head. "You saw that crystal. That venom was alive. There's something deeper, something older." Reed looked around the chamber. "If they used this species to make you, there could be a source." "A well," Venari said quietly. "That's what the Empire called it. The Venom Well. They said it was hidden on a dead moon. This one," Keller checked his scanner. "There's a gravity anomaly about 5 clicks. From here, a hole the size of a city sealed under the rock. Could be your well." Reed stood up. "Then we go there." Keller looked at both of them. "You're asking me to follow a woman who can kill with a bite. She bit me." Reed said, "I'm still here." Venari said nothing. But she looked at Reed, truly looked at him, and something soft appeared in her eyes. Not weakness, something older. Something she hadn't felt in years. Trust. They started moving again, following Keller through narrow tunnels lit only by the faint glow of broken tech, and the soft pulse in Venari's veins. But as they neared the edge of the anomaly, Reed stopped. He felt something, a whisper, a pull, and then a voice not heard, but felt deep inside his chest. "You are the first." He froze. Venari looked at him. "What is it?" "I don't know," he said, breath shaky. "But something just spoke to me, not out loud. Inside." Keller raised his weapon again. "This place is cursed." Venari stared into the black void ahead. "No," she said. "It's waking up." And in the distance, deep underground, something ancient opened its eyes. Something that hadn't moved in thousands of years. Something that had been waiting. For the human. They stood at the edge of the crater. It wasn't just a hole, it was a wound in the moon. The land had cracked in a perfect circle, wide and deep, like something had broken free long ago and the surface had healed over. Now that seal was glowing, pulsing with soft blue veins that stretched outward into the ground like roots. Venari stared down in silence. Keller held his rifle tight, eyes scanning the ridge. We shouldn't be here. Command will never believe this. They were never supposed to know, Venari said. The Empire tried to bury this place because this is where it all began. Reed touched the edge of the crater. It felt warm. Alive. Then it spoke again inside his chest. You carry the cure. His breath caught. Did you hear that? Venari shook her head. No, it's talking to me, Reed said. It knows me. It said I carry the cure. Venari stepped closer. Her eyes were wide, glowing softly now. The cure? To what? Reed looked down. To you. Suddenly, the surface of the crater cracked. A faint line opened, widening slowly into a spiral. Blue mist hissed upward. The crater was opening like an ancient door. Keller stepped back. We need to leave. Now. No, Venari whispered. This is what we came for. They moved down. Carefully, walking across stone stairs that hadn't been touched in thousands of years. The deeper they went, the warmer the air became. Faint humming sounds echoed through the chamber. The place felt alive. Breathing. At the center lay a pool. Not of water, but of light. Blue and gold. Swirling slowly, glowing with strange symbols that shifted and moved beneath the surface. The venom well. Venari stepped to the edge. This is what they used to make me, Reed said, and what they wanted to control. She looked at him. But they couldn't, because they didn't understand what this really is. Reed's voice was low. What is it? Venari closed her eyes. It's not just venom, it's balance. Life and death. Destruction and healing. The 6 species didn't die. They became this. The well pulsed softly. And then the light reached out, tendrils of energy floating up and touched Reed's chest. He gasped. Flashes filled his mind, not pain memories. Of beings made of light. Of a war long before humans existed. Of a species that gave itself up to protect the future. They became energy, became venom, waiting for a key, waiting for someone who could survive their power, then shape it. He fell to his knees. Venari, I caught him. Reed. His eyes opened, glowing gold. He looked up at her. They weren't trying to kill, they were trying to pass it on. Your venom wasn't meant to destroy, it was unfinished. Venari whispered, then what am I? You're the vessel, Reed said, and I'm the fuse. The pool began to rise, lifting tendrils of energy around them both. Keller shouted, this is insane. But neither of them moved. Venari reached her hand toward Reed. He took it. Skin touched and the well exploded in light. A shockwave burst outward, racing across the moon. Every hunter ship in orbit froze. Systems failed. Weapons died. Engines shut down. On far-off screens inside the Shirak Empire, red alarms flashed. Subject evolved. Back on Earth, in hidden labs, the sample Keller had taken began to glow violently. Scientists panicked. Command tried to seal the vault. But it was too late. The cure was active. Inside the well, Reed and Venari stood surrounded by floating symbols. Light swirling through them both. Her body changed. Not into something monstrous, but something whole. Her skin healed. Her venom stopped glowing green. It now shimmered gold. It no longer burned with rage, but pulsed with balance. Reed felt it inside him too. He wasn't just immune, he was bonded. A part of her. A part of something older than the galaxy itself. Venari looked at him. Are you afraid? No, he said. I think this was always meant to happen. When they rose from the well, they were no longer fugitives. They were something new, the first of a reborn legacy. One that could end the war not with poison, but with power that healed, protected, and broke the chains of those who had been made to destroy. The Shirak Empire would come. Command would demand answers. But now, for the first time, Reed and Venari weren't running. They were ready. Together. And across the stars the legend began to spread. Every alien died from her bite until she bit a human, and the galaxy was never the same again.